This is Fantasy Football Today from CBSSports.com.
Time to decide on a deal. Talk about the most traded players in CBSSports.com leagues. Present 3 trades and see what our analysts like the best. First, we're going to pull up the most traded list.
This is kind of unfair. Dave is a veteran game show player, so he's going to be probably a little advantage of this.
Oh, that's
Plus,
right.
I love to make trades. I know everything about wheeling and dealing.
That's right.
Wheel of Fortune participant, Dave Richard.
Thank you very
Kid
much.
you not. The top 10 most traded players in CBSSports.com leagues. Chris Johnson. No surprise, he's number 1. I actually tried to deal for him.
You've
last
tried to
night,
deal
and
for him. What
I
were you
couldn't.
offering for him?
Donald Brown?
Something way too good. Then I was like, no, I can't do this.
What was it?
I was going to give Trent Richardson
Yeah, too
and
much.
Vic
Too much.
Let me ask
for
this.
a quarterback.
I know we're going to get yelled at for taking too much time, but one of our colleagues, Jay Darren Darst, right before we came on there, a Chris Johnson owner with Ryan Fitzpatrick, someone offered him Tom Brady for Fitzpatrick and Chris Johnson. Do you make that trade?
Yeah, I think I do. I think as long as you get something that helps your team now for Chris Johnson, that's when you make the deal.
Nathan.
Don't just give him away for nothing. You can't do that. There's somebody in the CBS league that traded him for a DST. That's ridiculous.
What about
Nathan,
the Cardinals
if
DST?
If you look at that top 10 most traded list, who on that list would you be trying to trade for right now?
I'd probably be going after, I think Wes Welker's looking pretty good. There aren't a lot of people on this list that I'd really be going for, because I think RG3 may be the best player on this list overall. He is going to have the highest value of anybody, so you're going to have to give up a lot to get RG3. I don't mind Larry Fitzgerald either. Cedric Benson, I think he has some good matchups, can be a situational running back. But there's not anybody on this list that I'm dying to have. I think you're seeing a lot of people trying to sell high on Chris Johnson, sell high on Michael Turner after his good game against San Diego, and he'll probably have one more good one against Carolina this week. So nobody on this list that I'm dying to have on my team.
You probably would have been able to buy low on Fitzgerald prior to last week.
Right.
But now that he's had the game, he's back to where everybody
And I
wants
think you can buy low on Packers right now. We've talked in a previous segment about how much we like Aaron Rodgers going forward.
Not
We
after
all
this week.
think, why?
because they're going to go off this week.
Well, sure, but now's the time to go and
Yeah,
try and get
now's the
Greg
time.
Jennings, Jordy Nelson, Cedric Benson, and Rodgers on the cheap.
Are you ready to break down some trades?
Sure.
I'll
Yeah.
give you 3. You tell me who you like best. For the Chris Johnson owner, here are 3 Chris Johnson trades. Chris Johnson for Stephen Ridley. Chris Johnson and Pierre Garçon for Sean Green and Vincent Jackson. And in a PPR league, Chris Johnson for Dez Bryant.
I like the first trade the best, but I don't have a problem with the third trade. I have a major problem with the second trade.
I totally agree.
Thank you.
Yep. Me too. Well said, Dave.
Yeah, you know, and the idea with the Chris Johnson for Dez Bryant trade, you're trading a disappointing player for a disappointing player, but maybe you've got Chris Johnson and a lot of other really good running backs, so you don't need Chris Johnson, and you need help at wide receiver. Dez comes into your roster, and in a PPR league, he's been pretty good.
21 games in a row for Dez Bryant without 100 yards receiving.
That's a lot of
Wow.
games. Now, Alfred Morris is also on the most traded list. Here are 3 trades. You can offer Dave Alfred Morris for anything. Get Aaron Rodgers, he'll give it to you. But Alfred Morris for Deshaun Jackson, Alfred Morris and Drew Brees for Schaub and McCoy, and Alfred Morris and Steve Smith for A.J. Green. What's the best one there?
I think you're selling him too low on number 1. I'm okay with the second trade because you're getting LaShawn McCoy. And listen, somebody would be selling low on LaShawn McCoy right now. He hasn't been amazing through the first 3 weeks of the season. And Schaub is still okay as a starting quarterback. You could probably platoon him with another guy that you can pick up off waivers. And then the third trade, I like it too. Morris and Steve Smith. Smith's been okay between 8 or 10 fantasy points a week. A.J. Green has must-start written all over him no matter who they play.
Yeah, I think the only problem with 1 and 3 is position scarcity. You know, I'd much rather keep the running back in that situation, certainly for Deshaun Jackson. And then even, you know, Steve Smith to A.J. Green, at some point I think it could level out a little bit, where if Cam Newton starts to get going and A.J. Green, you know, teams start to just roll coverage to him because they're not going to fear Andrew Hawkins and Jermaine Gresham and some of these other guys. So I think if I can hold on to Alfred Morris and still keep, keep Steve Smith in that regard and not take Deshaun Jackson, I would do that.
And Nathan?
Yeah, I didn't like number 1 for Deshaun Jackson. The third one I like, if you're assuming that this team has maybe Mikel Shore as their 4th running back, they drafted Alfred Morris late as their 5th running back, so all you're doing on the lineup is putting in A.J. Green for Steve Smith, then it's a win. The middle one would depend to me on who you had at quarterback. If you had Matt Schaub and, say, Ben Roethlisberger, or you drafted Andrew Luck and you had 2 good quarterbacks, I would do the second one as well because you're getting LaShawn McCoy, who I think can be a full stud featured back.
Larry Fitzgerald's on the most traded list. Here are 3 trades. Fitzgerald for LaSure and Amendola in a standard league. Fitzgerald for RG3. Fitzgerald and Steven Jackson for Andre Johnson. What's your favorite?
Wow. Come back to me on this one because I'm still trying to process 2 and 3. Number 1 doesn't work for me.
Jamie?
I'm not sure any of them work for me.
Yeah, I think so as well. Again, looking at 3, you're giving up a running back there for a receiver that could obviously equal out between Fitzgerald and Andre Johnson, and you still have to keep in mind Andre Johnson's health. I don't know if RG3 is going to keep up this level, and I think Larry Fitzgerald's only going to get better from here, or at least play at this level as well. So RG3, for most people, was not drafted as a starting quarterback, so you should have somebody that you could maybe step in for an RG3, whether you did, if you just look at all of our rankings, and for Nathan and I, we had RG3 12, Dave had Roethlisberger 12.
Right.
If you took those 2 quarterbacks, you can certainly give up, RG3 and keep a Roethlisberger. So I don't know if I really love any of those trades either.
Are you ready, Dave?
Yeah, I think the only trade number 2 is the one that I think is acceptable.
Fitzgerald for RG3.
Right, and that's if you need a quarterback. Obviously, you're not going to trade away Fitzgerald for RG3 if you already have Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees.
All right, and Nathan.
Number 1 I would do in a PPR league for sure. In a standard league, I probably wouldn't do that unless I was desperate for a running back. I've always been high on LaShore, so I don't mind that. And Amendola is going to be solid, 5 for 70 every week. But number 2 could be good, but number 3 is awful. No way.
Let's talk Michael Turner trades here. Michael Turner and Brandon Marshall for Darren McFadden. Michael Turner for Vincent Jackson. Michael Turner for Michael Vick.
Well, I think somebody who's trading Michael Turner right now would be selling high on him. The fact that he scored in back-to-back games. He might even make it 3 straight against Carolina. I think we all like Turner this week. I actually like 1 and 2. I don't want to trade Michael Turner for Michael Vick. 1, 2, 3.
I won't do 2. I would definitely do 1 in a heartbeat.
No way.
And 3 I would actually consider, because I think the best of Michael Vick still to come.
And Nathan?
Yeah, I would agree. Exactly what Jamie said. No chance on number 2. You're trading a mediocre running back for a mediocre receiver, in my opinion. Number 1, I like, because Darren McFadden looks like a superstar that we thought he would be. And number 3 certainly is appealing, because I think when you think about the ceiling for these guys, I think Michael Vick's ceiling is much higher than Michael Turner.
We're going to take a break on Fantasy Football Today. When we come back, we all have a player on our mind. Let's see if you can figure it out. We'll give you some hints. Stick around.